The glorious unpredictability of the transfer window has now closed for Chelsea, but one thing that has seemed inevitable was the eventual departure of Thibaut Courtois, who finally secured his dream move to Real Madrid. Chelsea spotted his young talent in 2011 and acquired the 19-year-old Belgian goalkeeper of the year for €9 million. He was quickly shipped off to Atletico Madrid on a season-long loan which extended to 3 years. In that time he matured into one of the world's best keepers. But from the moment Courtois signed for Chelsea, the supporters never seemed to warm to him in the way that they naturally seem to do with those who don the blue shirt. There has always been something a bit off about Courtois, high-handed, arrogant even. Perhaps it was his likeness to the Officer Crabtree character from the 1980s British sitcom, Allo Allo, that gave him something of a strange demeanor. As his career at Atletico Madrid blossomed, he seemed indifferent to joining Chelsea. His exuberant celebrations after Madrid knocked Chelsea out of the Champions League in 2014, while understandable, were perhaps insensitive given that he was technically a Chelsea player. He finally came home to Stamford Bridge and made clear his requirement was to be the #1 keeper. No harm in that for an ambitious professional who believes in his ability, but when that desire resulted in usurping the much-loved Petr Cech, Chelsea's greatest-ever goalkeeper, it left him with a lot to live up to both on and off the pitch. Thibaut Courtois of Chelsea and Petr Cech of Arsenal shake hands after the final whistle in a match between their two clubs. Image, Sean Botterill, Getty Images. Many supporters believed that eventually losing Cech to Arsenal was too high a price to satisfy Courtois' ego. Others believed that the club caved into the clear fact that had they not done so he would have hankered for a return to Madrid. Whatever the veracity of these hypotheses, the club rightly backed the potential of a goalkeeper who could play for the club for 10 years, as Cech had done at a similar age, over one who may only have had a few seasons left in him at the top level. Either way, the collateral damage of losing Cech was a sad end to a distinguished Chelsea career. It is therefore very disappointing that Courtois has only stayed 4 seasons at Chelsea. Chelsea's plan to replace one goalkeeping legend for a potential legend has ended prematurely. Having put their eggs in the Courtois basket, Chelsea has clearly misplaced their loyalty. And loyalty is a key word in this saga. What is it really worth in football nowadays? Obviously, not very much. Sadly for football supporters, we naively expect our players to show the same loyalty to the club as we unconditionally do. While this symbiotic relationship may have existed in the past, it certainly doesn't in modern football. Ultimately, Thibaut Courtois is a professional footballer, and as with any professional, he must do the best for himself. If that means fluttering his eyelashes to Real Madrid for greater opportunities than Chelsea and no doubt for more money, then so be it. Loyalty goes out of the window, and the sooner football supporters get their heads round this concept, the saner they will become. Whatever the rationality of this, as a loyal supporter, it still hurts to be rejected as publicly as Courtois has. It shatters our illusion that there is some mystical bond between the players and the supporters, that oneness, that we are all in it together. Of course, in Courtois' case, it has not helped that in his 4 seasons at the club, he has never missed an opportunity to articulate his desire to move to Real Madrid. While one has sympathy with his wish to live near his 2 children in Madrid, constantly agitating for the move has done nothing to endear him to the Chelsea supporters. To add insult to injury, he bizarrely decided to effectively go on strike by refusing to return to the club after his holiday, leaving it to his agent to plead on his behalf and forcing the club's hand to let him go. As well as somewhat cowardly, this was highly unprofessional, but sadly reflects the iniquitous power that players and their agents wield in the modern game. It appears that his final insult toward Chelsea supporters was to announce on his badge-kissing arrival in Madrid that he would very much like his Belgian compatriot and Chelsea's best player, Eden Hazard, to join him. Little wonder then that he has received much abuse on social media from the supporters. but Courtois has now gone, and with a less myopic eye, Chelsea has lost a fine goalkeeper, the winner of the Golden Glove at the World Cup finals, lest we forget. Perhaps we should also be honest enough to admit that Chelsea has been somewhat complicit in the inevitability of Courtois' departure. It brings into question the sense in loaning players out the minute after they sign for the club, running the risk of them developing a bond with a different club rather than putting down roots at Stamford Bridge. Thibaut Courtois during his Real Madrid unveiling, photo by Helios de la Rubia, Real Madrid via Getty Images. Whatever the rights and wrongs of the issue, and no matter how good Courtois was for Chelsea, he was never loved by the supporters. On reflection, this might prove to be no bad thing, as it might once and for all shatter the illusion that modern-day players have any loyalty to the club or an affinity for it matching the supporters' love for it. Gianfranco Zola, our new assistant manager and one of the finest players to grace the Stamford Bridge turf, put it perfectly when he said, "All of us, teams, directors, and managers, are passing through a football club. Supporters are there always. And they never forget." We would do well to remember these wise words, although I have a suspicion that should Chelsea play Real Madrid next season, Thibaut Courtois and his dividends will not be forgotten. David Cech at Stamford Bridge. David Cech is currently chairman of the Chelsea Supporters Trust and presents the award-winning Chelsea Fancast podcast, which can be heard live every Monday at 19:00 at mixlr.com/Chelsea-fancast/ or downloaded from Acast, iTunes, SoundCloud or chelseafancast.com at Chelsea Fancast.